Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name's GBay99. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today we are back with another League of Legends video where today I want to take some time to talk to you guys a bit about the Irelia nerfs. Now, for those of you who don't know, Irelia was nerfed a little bit in the last patch 6.13, and I think this nerf is a really interesting thing to talk about and a really interesting thing to sort of discuss. The nerfs that happened to her, there was only one big change where the cooldown of her ultimate was increased by quite a bit at earlier ranks, about 40 seconds at level 1, and then it sort of tapered off. It was only a 10-second increase at level 3, but it's still a pretty interesting nerf, and there's a couple of different reasons why. When I first saw this nerf myself, I didn't really like it. I did think that Irelia needed to be nerfed or changed in some way. Like, I actually really wanted her to be nerfed because I wasn't able to play her at all. She was always picked or banned in games in any sort of draft mode, so I was never able to play her myself, but I didn't necessarily agree with nerfing her abilities themselves. The reason that Irelia suddenly became overpowered was because of the changes to Triforce when they replaced Zeal with Stinger, giving a cooldown reduction and more attack speed and all that. That's what really made Irelia good, coupled with a couple of buffs to her Q leading up to that change, but that change to Triforce is what really set her over the top and made her a must-pick or ban champion. The reason I didn't really like nerfing Irelia's abilities based off of that change is because that's something that I don't think is a good way to, like, design champions philosophically. Like, isn't that why we removed Deathfire's Grasp and remove Innervating Locket and all those items that were super overpowered? If there's an overpowered item that's making champions overpowered, it's much better to nerf that item or change that item in some way rather than nerfing all the champions it affects. The reason for that is because if you just nerf the champions that affects, that sort of kills build creativity. If you nerf Irelia because Triforce makes her too strong, then she's going to be super weak if you build anything other than Triforce, and nobody's going to be able to play that champion unless they're building the OP item that they got nerfed for in the first place. So that's something that I think is like a little bit of a philosophical difference in why I didn't really like seeing Irelia's abilities nerfed when I felt like it was Triforce that was making her too strong. But when I take another look at it, I honestly think that this is kind of an okay nerf, and maybe one of the best changes that Riot has ever made when nerfing a champion. Firstly, Irelia has been rushing Triforce for years at this point, so it's not necessarily going to kill much build creativity that the champion somehow needs in any sort of way like that. But the reason that I think this might be the best change or the best nerf that Riot has made in recent memory is because this is honestly nerfing Irelia's worst ability. It's not nerfing what makes Irelia good, it's nerfing what makes Irelia annoying. If you tell an Irelia main that she's going to be reworked tomorrow, what ability do you want to have that's not changed at all? Every Irelia main would probably give you a different answer, but very few of them would say they want to keep the ultimate. Most Irelias would probably want to either keep the Q so they can still jump around and have all sorts of fun movement. That's one of the reasons I like playing Irelia so much and think that she's so fun. Some Irelia mates would want to keep the stun, her E ability, because it's such a great way to punish people for their mistakes if they step out of line in a team fight or they try and tower dive you when they really shouldn't be. Some Irelias might want to keep the W because the W is a really great way to shred through tanks so she can still fight people top lane even though she isn't a pure tank herself. But very few people would say the ultimate is an ability that Irelia must have. This is not a make or break ability for Irelia, but this is the first ability that Riot went to changing when they saw that Irelia was too strong. As I said, the reason for this is because this is the ability that makes Irelia annoying, not what makes Irelia good. Any of you who've played top lane and played against an annoying Irelia or a really good Irelia probably know this scenario. You get to lane, you're CSing, you're past level 6, you're just having a normal laning phase. Maybe the Irelia uses her ultimate to clear a minion wave, and then 60 seconds later, her ultimate comes back up, and then she kills you again with it. At level 1, her ultimate had a 70-second cooldown at level 1, so that means just over a minute she could use it. She could use it to clear minion waves and then kill you just a minute later, and then after that, you spend 20 seconds dead, you spend 10 seconds walking back to lane, and then after 30 seconds of CSing again, 40 seconds of CSing again, you're killed again. She kills you again with her ultimate, and you feel like she hasn't even back to base once. It's a really difficult ability to play against when you can't really punish the Irelia for spamming it, which it's an ultimate. It's supposed to be something that's not spammable. Because Irelia would be able to get all these kills without having to back to base to buy, she could snowball her lane super hard. She could kill you over and over. If a jungle comes, she can just stun them and run away. She has her tenacity, so she can get away from ganks easier. She can have a really easy laning phase and snowball the lane super hard once she gets a small advantage against you. And then her kit is just something that's frustrating to play against in a number of different ways, where she can really punish you hard if you slip up when she has this little bit of a lead. And the fact that you can't even play around her ultimate or any of her abilities because she has such short cooldowns, and Irelia's mostly get 40% CDR anyway, I mean, it really made it frustrating to play against her, and then she turned into the monster in the mid and late game that she typically turns into, where she jumps in on your enemy AD carries and then just kills them so quickly before they can even react. There's a number of different reasons why she's able to do all this. She can do it because she has a 2-second stun, which is a really long stun on her E. She can do it because she has all the movement with the reset on her Q. She can do it because she has all the damage that helps her burst with her W. But it all sort of starts from the fact that it's really easy to get kills as Irelia in laning phase when you have your ultimate that's such a spammable ability with such a low cooldown. And rather than nerfing any of her core abilities or what it is that makes Irelia fun, what it is that makes an Irelia able to do all these combos that Irelia mains love so much, rather than nerfing all of that, Riot chose to nerf the ultimate, which was a really strange choice, but something that seems to have worked out really well. Honestly, I kind of like this as an Irelia main. Now I get rewarded for even better decision making, knowing when I should be using my ultimate and not just spamming it every opportunity I get. It sort of punishes bad Irelia players for not being able to control when they use their ultimate and using it too frequently, while rewarding the good Irelia players that save it for the key moment when it's at its most effective. It's something that really nerfed Irelia in the annoying way that she could play against you, but it didn't nerf what makes Irelia mains love playing the champion, and I think that's why this change was such a good and healthy change for the game. Riot is pretty famous actually for constantly nerfing champions that become too overpowered. Like champions that are constantly picked and banned, Riot will just nerf them rather than buffing the weaker champions that you can play against them. Like the reason they say that they do that is because they don't want to buff people constantly and then have some sort of power creep, but another reason being I'm sure it's just a lot easier to nerf the problem champion rather than buffing everything that you can play against it. But the thing I really like about these nerfs is this wasn't Riot just gutting the champion to make her super underpowered to balance around her in some sort of way like that. They just made Irelia less frustrating to play against. They gave more opportunity for you to play well against an Irelia if you know that cooldown and if you know how to keep track of when Irelia has her ultimate up and whatnot. And they didn't change anything. They didn't change anything that Irelia mains love about the champion. The reason I'm really obsessing over this one little tweak to Irelia and taking an entire 10-minute video to talk about it is because I think this is exactly how Riot should be balancing League of Legends, particularly in the top lane and mid lane, where it feels like League is at its most fun when every matchup either player can win based off of who outplays the other player, who outplays one another, who has the more knowledge, who has the more mechanical skill, who can do better in laning phase. I think that's one of the most fun things about solo lanes, and this is a move to make a champion less frustrating to play against and really reward the good players of that champion while punishing the bad ones and giving people playing against them an opportunity when it could have been so much easier for Riot to just gut the champion's kit. Recently, there's been a ton of different rework discussion in League of Legends and at Riot Games, I'm sure, where we just had the mid-season mage update not that long ago where a ton of different mages got reworked. We just had the Rise rework announced and all the abilities shown off in a bit of a champion teaser on top of the Yorick rework, which will be coming shortly after that. And of course, not that long ago, a couple of weeks now, there was a Rioter that mentioned a ton of different champions that they plan on reworking in the upcoming year. And this is something that I'm sure makes a lot of people that main all these different champions very nervous, and they have a right to be nervous. Let's be honest, Riot's rework team has been pretty hit or miss ever since the Juggernaut changes, so I'd hope that Riot is currently saving reworks as a last resort for when they can't properly make champions balanced with pure numbers tweaks. There's champions out there like that, champions like Yorick, where with Yorick's current abilities, you're never going to have a champion that's balanced. He's always going to be either too overpowered and not fun to play against, or too underpowered and not fun to play as. But that's not the case for every champion, and these Irelia tweaks give me a little bit of hope that maybe not every one of our favorite characters is going to be thrown to the rework department with a 50% chance of coming out alive on the other end. But I'm obviously super biased here. I'm an Irelia main that doesn't want to see my champion changed. I don't want to have all of Irelia's abilities thrown in the garbage can and see my favorite part of League of Legends turned into something unrecognizable to me. I'd much prefer these small incremental nerfs to bring her back in line. Maybe I'm wrong about all this. Maybe even after this huge spiel, Irelia is still too strong, and maybe she needs some more nerfs, some sort of tweaks, or maybe she still does have parts of her kit that are inherently not fun to play against. I would argue she's certainly not worse than someone like Teemo, who seems to be absent from that rework list, but I suppose that's a rant for another time. Anyway, though, this is just something I wanted to talk to you guys a bit about today. I'm sure you all know by now I like making these kinds of occasionally rambly videos. If you think I got something wrong or disagree with any part of this video, feel free to leave your own opinions in the comments down below. You made it all the way to the end of this video if you're listening to my voice now, and I appreciate you giving me your time, so I'll try and give you a little bit of mine. But anyway, I'll be seeing you all in tomorrow's video, so until then, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.